Maybe you as an author have wondered, should I rebrand as an author? And I would say, well, do you want to ruin your entire career? Welcome back to the channel. I am in my kitchen, which as you know means we're doing a vlog today. Maybe you as an author have wondered, should I rebrand as an author? And I would say, well, do you want to ruin your entire career? Oh, if you're new here, I'm Kelsey, rom-com author, comedian, podcaster, YouTuber, oversharer, and your new bestie on the internet. And I talk on this channel about writing tips and tricks. So I'm out here doing this. I just released a book a few months ago, and I have a book coming out in like 4 months. So I'm still in the trenches doing this. I'm not teaching a course. I do have a free guide for you, but this is what we're doing. We're building a YouTube community, and I'm telling you all my mistakes. Before I dive into what we're talking about today, which is author rebranding and my vlog, I have started writing a new book. I am officially 2,000 words into my rom-com that comes out in July. It's currently March. Now, I vlogged before my writing, and I was trying to hit a goal, and that just failed miserably. And I'm not going to do that this time because I don't like to be totally demoralized every time I post on YouTube. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to just tell you guys how my week went. I have been sick for over 2 weeks. I've had multiple children have to go to the doctor, antibiotics, people home, random bouts of vomiting. So, just living the dream, continuing to live the dream. Plus, I've had this whole rebrand we're about to talk through. I'm a little bit behind on my writing, but I do want to vlog along the process and keep you guys in on it and let you guys know how it's going. And so I have started March 5th. I started with 2,000 words. I'm picking up from my Christmas book. This is in the same little Christmas town, but it's in the summer, which is really unique and fun. I think people are going to love it. So I will keep you updated on that in the vlogs. If you look on my channel, I have the writing tips and then I have vlogs. And so that's like my process and my progress as I go along. But let's dive into the rebrand. The key takeaway, I have my laptop here. I'm going to go through some numbers with you guys about my rebrand. I'm launching an author rebrand. I emailed my entire email list earlier this week. I got on and said something very briefly on Instagram, and then here I am explaining it to you all and announcing it again on YouTube. I'm switching from spicy romance to closed door romance, which is basically the opposite of what everyone in my industry is doing. But I will explain why, and I want to give you the lessons right up front if you don't want to listen to all my gobbledygook, I need a little bit of coffee. The main lesson here is before you start, figure out what your vision is for your business. This is good advice for any creative entrepreneur because we are like squirrels and we have shiny object syndrome. And you really have to think about the business, not the art, not what you want your days to be like, which we talk about here, having creative days filled with great work. Easy days where we're not like posting on social media 24/7. We're just doing work, making the system I've talked about and working the system and publishing regularly and all of those wonderful things. But what do you want your business to look like? For example, do you want to have everybody ordering from you? You hate Amazon. You don't want Amazon involved. Well, guess what? You've got to have some sort of shipping and receiving, like a huge operation that can work out of your garage. Do you have the space for that? Do you want to do events? If you want to do events, again, you need to have physical inventory. You need to have room for that. You need to factor in how much time and energy travel is, all of the booth fees, and are you going to make table stands? Are you going to order signage? How are you going to keep it from falling apart after like 3 events? Because travel is tough on physical like everything just gets bounced around and scratched up. Do you want to be a hermit and never have to show your face at all? Do you want an entire business that is just a logo There's a few examples of this. Dark romance, Rena Kent. No one knows what she looks like. She has a huge following. Always #1 on Amazon. I think she has like 200,000, 300,000 Instagram followers, and I've never seen her face, and neither has anyone else. But outside of dark romance, there's a contemporary romance author, Nicole Snow. I don't know what she looks like either. No idea. And she's been in the game a long time. And Olivia Hale is another one. Now, the reason why this is different is because I do think you're going to miss promotional opportunities like hopping on a live stream or going on a podcast interview. I've been nominated for a little award here locally. Guess what? That's me and my face, right? So you have to think about it. Now, what I didn't really think about, and when I started my author career, we were in the trenches of adoption. I had come off some deep depression. I had come off some many creative failures. I wasn't thinking long. You know what I just realized? I don't want you to look at the dishes in the sink, but I also still have my Christmas wreath up. And I don't want you to look at that either. But I think if I have to choose which distracting thing, we're going to go with the Christmas wreath. What do you think? Squirrel! I wasn't even thinking about an author career really. I was just thinking, well, I have this idea that's part of, I had viral videos, comedy character videos as a comedian. And so I was like, I can turn those characters into books and I'll just do that. And that's what I did. I didn't really think about an entire author career. I was still sort of at the time thinking about my comedian career. Before I work through my personal story with you and my examples, I want to give you some more examples. Think about the community that you have, the people that would be your readers, and think about what they love and what they want. And are you prepared to give them what they want forever until the end of time? One thing I thought of is like, let's say you are you're in the sports balls. I feel like there's not that many sports ball people who are also writers, but it could happen. You're a sports ball person. You played in college. You have a big community. Maybe you're a trainer. Maybe you're a different example, a doctor or a nurse. Okay. So when you launch your books, you have a bunch of friends and family, community, like you're already kind of known in that industry and you want to start writing fiction about that. This is kind of a common thing that happens where you are in that industry already. And so you have some ideas. And so you start writing fiction about that industry. That is not uncommon. But if you're going to do that, you're going to go faster if you just continue to stay in that lane forever. You will go faster if you stay in one lane forever. You don't have to. I know as creatives we're like, bleh, but you will. If you only write small town romance until you die, your readers will love it. They will buy every book and you will grow faster and you will sell more and it'll be easier for you to have success. In that example of sports or like a doctor or a nurse, or maybe you're in real estate or something, or like online influencer or life coaching or whatever, and you're like, oh, I want to write fiction about this. My people will love it. Are you making them look good? Like, don't say like, oh, I have this great sports idea for this sports thriller, but in the actual book, you're kind of making your entire industry look bad. They're not going to want to support it, right? So think about that. And then think about like, do I really have the inspiration and motivation for this to write nothing but sports thrillers forever? How will I take those people and pivot them with me? Now, a lot of you guys are starting from nothing. You're not starting from, like, you just have a creative idea that has nothing to do with your day job or nothing to do with your lived experience. In which case I would say, still think about who you're writing for. In my last video, I think, or some video in the last week, I talked about when you begin writing and publishing. Again, around here we have a career, so we're not just doing one book, and when you're publishing books, you have a relationship with your reader. You've got to think about, what is that relationship going to look like? How are you going to do it? Think long-term about how you make your money, what way you want to do things. Let's say, you're like, no, I'm going all in on romantasy. That's all I can think of is this epic romantasy. Okay, guess what? It's going to take you longer to write. It's going to take them longer to be edited. And your fans need to have the expectations set. If you're going to do that, make sure that you're letting them know like this series is coming out and then there's going to be a whole year gap or a 2-year gap and then the next series is coming out. And I realize that that is super unfair because Sarah J. Maas waits like 17 years in between her books and everybody goes feral and buys every single one. She goes to the top of the charts. But we are not, my friend, in the same league as her. She can do whatever she wants and we can't yet. So you got to be thinking about your relationship with your readers and the kind of business you want to have, all of that. And I did not. And so here I am, many years in, it's been 5 years in, and I am rebranding, and it has not been great. Okay. So let's talk about why I am rebranding. I am removing to be closed door. I'm going to become a closed door romance author. To be closed door, if you don't know, that means there's no explicit happy time in the bedroom. I'm not sure, I guess on YouTube I can probably say sex, right? So there's no explicit sex in the book. It's closed door. So there might be some kissing, some heavy petting, if you will. And then the door closes metaphorically, or sometimes literally in the page you would say, I shut the door, whatever. And then the reader doesn't see any of the happy time happening. Okay. There's also sweet romance, which is not what I'm doing. Sweet romance has 0 cuss words and it really only has 1 kiss at the end. Doesn't have heavy subject matter. Sweet romance, and I would say Christian romance, just sweet romance. Sweet romance really function like Hallmark movies function, where you kind of have like a lighthearted, silly premise, and you might have like some real characters, but for the most part, there's nothing too dramatic, sad, everything is kind of glossed over with shiny paint. And then at the end, there's like 1 kiss. And these can be done very well. No shade to sweet books. People freaking love Hallmark. Hallmark is a staple in our society for a reason. So that is one genre that you can do, is sweet romance. Then there's Christian, which obviously is religious and has Christian themes in it. And then there's closed door, which is what I'm doing, which means there will still be some cuss words. I did take all the F words out, and there won't be anything explicit. And I need to just say that either this is a good idea or a bad idea in terms of the industry, because Emily Henry, one of the biggest romance authors of our time, Abby Jimenez, Sarah Adams, those are the ones that I can think of traditionally published, all recently started adding spice, whereas forever they had been the biggest names in romance and they wrote closed door. Still there were curse words, still there was steam and tension and like some gritty things, but then they didn't have explicit sex and they all started adding that. And that's actually one of my reasons, or at least one of the things that comforts me late at night when I'm crashing out, which is that there are lots of readers who have now abandoned those authors because they feel like, oh, you crossed a line in our relationship that we had set up. Like, Abby Jimenez and Emily Henry readers, they had in their mind, like, I can read their books and know what to expect and not worry about all of a sudden, the penises are out. And they changed the relationship, and a lot of readers got upset and are like, I can't read them anymore. And those readers, I got many emails of people when I wrote my email announcing that I was going in the other direction and removing the spice. I had so many people say, oh my gosh, thank you, because all of my favorite authors are dropping like flies. Which means for me out there, there is a market. There are people out there who are looking for not Hallmark, not Christian, not cheesy, just no sex scenes. And they have different reasons. Some of them are religious. Some of them just think it's awkward and it gives them the ick. Some of them just are feel like it's unnecessary and it gets excessive. So there's lots of different reasons, or there's a few different reasons for the reader of why they would want that genre. But for me, my business model, I still want to perform stand-up comedy. And guess what? I'm a clean comedian. I don't cuss in my set. I don't cuss much in real life. I don't cuss in my set, and I don't have dirty jokes in my set. I don't talk about anything too heavy in my set or too edgy. I'm not an edgy comedian. As you all can tell, I'm just mostly making fun of myself and very demonstrative and act outs and storytelling, but I'm a clean comedian. And so then people would expect my books to also be clean. And they weren't, and that was causing some friction. Another thing, in real life, guess who books clean comedians? A lot of Christian organizations, a lot of women's ministries, a lot of churches. And I'm a Christian, that's fine with me. Also, corporate events, women's leadership groups and big, huge conferences that bring in comedians to either be the MC, that was my main bread and butter back in the day, or they will bring in a comedian for like the Thursday night or the Friday night for attendees. Again, we're talking about people who are, now in the professional, like corporate setting, the person booking the event has to cover themselves. Like they don't want to get in trouble with their boss. The company doesn't want to get in trouble with shareholders or customers or whatever. And so they have to book clean comedians. That's why corporate comedians are always clean. Well, guess what? Same thing goes with the books that are on sale in the lobby after my set. So there was a disconnect, and I was never super spicy. Like I was never quite spicy enough for a lot of the book talk girls. Like I was kind of like not enough for them. And then I wasn't clean enough for these other people, which is really where I felt like there was a lot of money on the table, a lot of community, like a lot of people who would sign up for my email list. And like when I go and perform in person, because I am a chronic oversharer of everything in my personal life, I become friends with the audience. The audience really feels like they know me and they want to support me and then would want to buy my books. So I needed to get to a point where I could sell my books at those events. And some of you would say, well, they're just being prudish or that's ridiculous or whatever. Doesn't matter what you and I think about all that. What matters is, what do I want my business to be like? What do I want to be doing? And what I want to be doing is a clean comedy set where afterwards I sell a ton of books. And then those people are diehards because they've met me and seen me perform. They read one book, they get hooked, they read all my books, they sign up for my email list. Like, that's the kind of business I want to have. There were also other opportunities in my life in like different industry sphere, like this other project that I was working on and hoping to get off the ground and still going to be working on this year. It was another thing where it was like, I don't know if I can really commit to this project and go all the way in on this project with this brand and have explicit content in my books. So again, I had to make the decision. What kind of work do I want to be doing? What do I want to be doing? So, clean my books. All right. Now, what does that mean logistically? Let me just give you how it's going, which, as I said, was not great. I did get a handful of emails back, people replying, like I said, which was so encouraging because it was like, I was just like really scared to send the email. And so many people were like, hey, I will read your stuff no matter what. So those were like people who are just really kind. And then other people who were like, this is so refreshing. I had a few people who were like, oh, I have a whole group that I can recommend your books to now that I know don't read, spicy stuff. So I have some new audience for you. Like, so great. I also did a flash sale on my website, and this still is available if you want to stalk me and read some of my books and see one of my paperbacks. I have to sell all my paperback stock that I have on hand. And so I did a store-wide 30% off sale and free shipping, which means people could get my entire series of 7 books for under $100, which is insane. Okay, so I wanted to get into the numbers to explain it. Overall, it didn't ruin my entire business. I didn't lose 50% of my email list. I didn't get any angry messages from people who unsubscribed. I didn't get any disappointed messages from people who went and ordered. Basically, the numbers evened out where I got 4 times as much unsubscribes as I did positive responses. Let's see, what's the percentage? So far, I've lost 2% of my email list. Not giant. I mean, I was expecting more like 10%, 20%. Now, I do think some of that is because people don't open my emails, which is a problem. And I'm not ever going to get on here and not until I figured it out, and I'm going to give you guys newsletter advice, okay? Because I am bad at it. I don't think I don't know what my open rate currently is. I think it's like maybe 30 or 40%. So, a bunch of these people did not get the email, which is why I'm also talking about it here. And I also talked about it on Instagram, and I'll post a few more times, especially because, again, I'm in a relationship with these readers and I want them to know, hey, if you want these books before they go away, you can get them on my website. Go get the Kindle Unlimited version. Go download the, ebook. Now, logistically, I thought you might want to know how it works. And the way that it works is if you're not changing 10% or more of your books, you can just upload new files. So you see people who don't change anything about their book and upload a new cover, for example. This kind of falls into the same category. So I've rewritten all of my books and, well, I haven't done the Romantasy yet, but I will, because all of my Kelsey Humphreys catalog is being rewritten. So then after I had the new EPUB file, I put the old EPUB file and the new EPUB file through AI and said, how much has this changed? What's the percentage of change? Because that's what Amazon's going to do, is some robot algorithm is just going to scan both files. And it's less than 10%, which, by the way, my books were not that spicy. I'm a relationship first, dialogue heavy, slow burn author. And so it wasn't a big deal. And I think a lot of my real diehard readers know that, like, well, she never had that much spice anyway, or, well, the relationship, you know, it was developed emotionally, not physically. And so that also kind of comforted me that I was doing the right thing, that this wasn't going to be a life-altering change for my readers who really do love my stuff. Like, again, not much is changing. So all my books, it's less than 10% that has changed. And so I'm just uploading new files. Why this is important is because I keep all my reviews. Now, I am taking a risk because there are old reviews that talk about spice on there. So it will be confusing. But I would rather have that confusion, someone read my book, get mad, and leave a 1-star review. I would rather have that than lose thousands of great reviews. Now, if I felt like my book was really changing, I think that would be unethical. Like, I don't want to hoodwink people, right? I don't want to like rope them in with a spicy book because that's what the blurb says and that's what the reviews all say, and then give them something they don't want. Like, I'm not going to lie about things. So if things had changed more than 10%, I was prepared to just lose all the reviews, take them down, put up brand new ISBNs, AISNs, you know, whatever. So I was prepared to do that, but luckily I don't have to. I haven't done that yet. I haven't executed on that yet. So I will, and I will update you guys in the vlog. The other piece about this is audiobooks, which I'm still figuring out. Obviously, there's only a few chapters, a few places where they need to be edited. And so again, I don't have to pull them down and put up all new audiobooks, but I do have to do like painstaking, go in and have a producer just like chop different parts out and probably rework it, maybe have the narrators add a few words, add a few things back in. So that is going to be painful, expensive, horrible. Also, how does this affect people who have already bought the book? Well, if you've already bought the paperback, obviously that's going away. Now, one person wrote back, yes, I'm going to have an opportunity to buy second editions so I can have more covers of your book. I know people love to do that, and that's true, that now they can start collecting the different covers. But if you already own the ebook, if you want the new version, you just delete it and then go back in and download it again. Because again, it's not a new ISBN, so they can just get the same book they already paid for without the spice. If they want the spice to stay in there, they just don't let their book get undownloaded. Make sure their book stays downloaded on their device. And that is, from my understanding, also how audiobooks work. But again, the key lesson here is to think about it ahead of time. Why didn't I think through, I am a clean comedian. I should just write clean books. Now I have a new challenge, which is how can I still make it steamy? I still want my readers to kick their feet. I want there to be some anticipation and excitement. I want it to feel very real with no F words. All of that is a new challenge for me. But again, I feel like this was a great market that Abby Jimenez, Emily Henry, Sarah Adams, you know, I don't know who else has started adding spice, but those people, like, there was this huge market for them. People were rabid for their books and loved that. And if I do want to traditionally publish someday, like, it's a proven genre, contemporary, you know, non-spice, but still everything else is the same books, closed door. And so that is what's going on, guys. That's the hippity haps. And it's scary, crazy, weird, and I'll just keep you all posted as I upload things to Amazon, as I take down my books, what am I going to do if people don't buy all my stock? I don't know, I guess recycle, throw my books in recycle bin. That's painful to think about. I don't know, keep them on hand as like dent and ding or discontinued. I guess I could have discontinued stock on my website. Anyway, there's a lot to think about. And so I will keep you posted. All right, guys, I would love your questions. If you have in-depth questions, go to kelseyhumphreys.com/writing. If you want the guide on how to take one book and make it into a best-selling series, kelseyhumphreys.com/writing. And I want your comments. If it's something quick and something I can answer quickly, you can just leave a YouTube comment. Send my channel to other writers if you would. But I hope you enjoyed thinking through all of this with me. If you've maybe thought about your brand or thinking about rebranding, and I will be back soon. So hit the like button, subscribe, tell your friends, get on my website, get the free guide, and I will be back soon with another writing video.